do this quick story about pubs. Alastair Kerr is the spokesperson for Campaign for Pubs. Alastair, how are you?
Hello, Jeremy. Thanks for having me on again.
Lovely. Ryan always likes to do a story on pubs because he has an issue. He goes, he's always in the pub. He's always in the pub, and he needs to go to their land. This is really interesting, actually. When the budget, interesting, it's painful for your business. When the October budget came out, of course, Labour got elected by saying we're going to create growth. Growth is what we growth. But then we're going to make it almost virtually bloody impossible for any small or medium-sized business, certainly in this industry and other industries, to survive. And then we're going to survive even. We're going to raise costs and raise tax. Then we're going to bring a workers' rights charter. You know, I've got a headache, or I'll pay you for 6 months for doing nothing. And it's literally true to say, is it not, that because of Rachel Reeves' taxes, the pubs are being forced to shut their doors early as you scramble for cost. There was one story of a guy, Brian Whitting, the owner of several pubs in the rural southeast, said he started to close at 9 p.m. because he's hit with an almost £200,000 increase in extra annual costs. How bad is it for the business?
Well, it's not a pretty picture at the moment. You've hit the nail right on the head. Rachel Reeves has hit small businesses across the board, including pubs, with a £25 billion tax levy. And when you're lowering national insurance contributions and raising minimum wage, it's very important to make this point clear. It isn't government that generates jobs, it's businesses. We as publicans and pub users, we are small business owners, we support our communities, and we are being hit not just by this increase and raising minimum wage, but we've got VAT bills, we've got the cost of energy. And it's not surprising that you're seeing pubs that want to close early to kind of save costs, and not just on wages and whatever else, but just to keep going.
How does somebody like Reeves, I mean, somebody describe the tax situation for your sort of business and the importance, the problems that you're now facing as worse than COVID for the pub sector. How does Rachel Reeves or this government expect growth to work if businesses, pub businesses, the entertainment sector, all these small, medium businesses are being literally castigated in terms of finances? Because, as you quite rightly said, they will close early, they won't be able to afford staff, people won't be able to afford anyway to go out and eat, and anybody that's a successful business will sell the business and just leave these shores. I don't understand it as a theory.
No, absolutely, and it proves the ultimate theory that whatever political stripe you are, I mean, it in some cases it is worse than COVID. At least that administration did actually give some support to the industry and did actually listen to our concerns to a degree. When we have been trying to talk to the Chancellor and talk to many Labour MPs and government, and we've said, look, what would really help the industry is a VAT relief. And basically what that would do is make more people have more disposable income, more boost the nighttime economy. We've been met with disdain. And you can't build growth on nothing. You cannot build economic security on mass unemployment, mass redundancies, mass business closures. So it's nonsensical from my point of view, and from many common sense people.
When you say, completely agree with you, that's nonsensical. When you say, you know, it's met with disdain, how does any government expect growth to happen if they're not encouraging growth at ground root level? Because presumably what that does, that's how business works, isn't it? That's how you create jobs and productivity, surely.
Well, absolutely. And as I said earlier, Jeremy, the government of this political administration and all political administrations need to understand it isn't governments that create jobs, it's businesses. And at the moment, pubs have been hit with. We went through the whole debacle of being blamed for COVID, have the most harsh trading restrictions imposed on pubs and restaurants and hospitality sector, and now we have nothing. We're barely surviving. We're not just an industry on our knees. We've been amputated at the knees and left to bleed out.
It's interesting what you said as well about, which I thought was very interesting. I mean, we talked about COVID and talked about what people gave and all that, but you talked about energy prices, and people have told me in all sorts of small businesses that, you know, the NI cut's dreadful, the workers' right thing's dreadful, all those sorts of things. But actually, the cost of, I mean, it's not your business, but I was telling the story the other day of a dry cleaning business in Windsor that I used to use, and he was telling me he had to close. His energy bill prices went up by £18,000 just to shop. And he said, it's not sustainable. I can't sustain it anymore. I just can't do it. And so I closed the business. And I don't, you know, everybody knows what I think about the energy things. What's more dangerous to the pub sector? Is it this government's taxes? Is it net zero and what that means? What is the most difficult part?
I think it's more the government's lack of understanding and lack of compassion and lack of listening to people who actually do work in the trade. I mean, we saw last week that the Chancellor, the Deputy Prime Minister, was in that nightclub with the Mayor of London saying, isn't it great that we've let them open later? Well, no, because they've still got to extend their costs. The energy bills are still ongoing. Pubs, when we close the doors at the end of the night, the chillers are still on, the fridges are still on. There's still energy bills going on. There's still a load of cost and crisis. What we need is a government minister to come along and say, oh, I do understand. I want to work with you. Let me know what I can do, instead of this fairy tale, la-di-da kind of, oh, well, we were left with such a mess and now we've got to blame everybody else for it.
Do you think it's going to get better or worse for your sector of business, my friend?
Well, at the moment, if the government continues the course, I can't see it getting any better. But as you know, Jeremy, and I know, pubs are fighters. This hospitality sector is a fighter. We'll continue to do what we do because we are a people-facing industry, and all I urge is that people continue to support their pubs, restaurants, hotels. Keep on supporting us. Keep us open and keep us viable.
Good man. Really good to have you on, Alastair. Thank you so much indeed. Pointing out how difficult it is for the pub sector. Somebody saying today that the tax situation for the pub industry is worse than COVID. Many now genuinely having to close early, shut their kitchens, maybe just have kitchens on till 6, 7 o'clock at night, because what happened in COVID, what happened with that budget in October, was so many of them were given such a hard time, and it really has impacted. But it's energy bills. It's always, you can talk about NI, talk about workers' rights. Energy, this net zero madness, is at the absolute forefront of so much of this.